Do you want to start building muscle but don't feel like you know enough to start? Are you nervous to start in the gym? If so, this video is for you. This video will serve as an overview of how muscle is built, advice and tips, as well as extra information around nutrition and recovery. I started going to the gym relatively recently, but I've been training for around 3 years now, and in that time, I have made a lot of mistakes. I hope that you can use some of my mistakes to improve your own experience building muscle, whether that starts in the gym or with calisthenics. First, it's important that you understand the building blocks of muscle building. Muscle cannot be built without stimulus. This means your muscles need to be exposed to some form of tension in order to grow. This is because evolutionarily muscle grows in order to make tasks we regularly perform easier. This means you need to essentially tell your muscles through training that they need to grow to perform a specific type of task. When you partake in any form of resistance training, you provide a stimulus to the muscle that encourages it to grow. This is where external factors come in. In order for your body to build muscle, it needs a few things: adequate sleep, sufficient protein, and adequate caloric intake. You do not have to be in a caloric surplus to build muscle, but being in a small surplus or at maintenance can greatly assist in building muscle depending on your level of body fat. Protein provides your body with amino acids, which are utilized to build muscle on your body. Protein and sleep are the most important factors to building muscle. This is excluding training because muscle will not grow without training or stimulus. An important thing to note is that you can stimulate your muscles without a gym membership. Any form of resistance on your muscles that stimulates a sufficient recruitment of muscle fibers will enact some form of growth, even if slight. The gym is better for my personal situation, but I am a big advocate for calisthenics. And if you are unable or not wanting to go into a gym, I would recommend you start by training at home in whatever way you can. Regardless of how you train, there is one key principle to consistent muscle growth, and that is progressive overload. Progressive overload is simply increasing the amount of stress you put your muscles under each time you train, or as Greg Doucette aptly puts it,
harder than friggin' last time.
If your muscles are not exposed to increasing resistance, they will have no reason to actually grow, as your body thinks that your muscles are strong enough to perform the task you have been training at. You can progressively overload in a number of different ways. The first and most common is to increase the weight you are moving. However, this is often too big of a jump for many exercises, and it should be noted that any of the following things can progressively overload your muscles: increasing reps, increasing sets, stricter form, slower reps, pause reps, negative reps, etc., and different variations of an exercise. All of these things are ways to overload your muscles. Something that people new in the gym, including me when I started, fail to do is consistently overload the muscle. In order to guarantee you are overloading your muscles, I strongly recommend tracking your weight sets and reps for each exercise in some manner so that you know how much you need to do to go harder than last time. One of the other most important aspects to building a good physique is consistency. Consistency is one of the keys to building muscle because if you are not consistently providing the muscles with stimulus, they do not feel obligated to grow. This is another thing people new to training, including me, struggled with a lot. If you are finding it difficult to train on a regular basis, roughly the same number of times per week, here are some tips that helped me and that have helped others. Lower the volume you are doing each week, for example, going one less time per week. Many people starting out in the gym, especially younger people, tend to train 5-6 days a week for a month or two because they want to rush growth. Some people can stick to this, but the majority of people burn out after a while and stop training altogether. I recommend starting off training 2-3 times per week and working your way up to whatever frequency works for you. Early on, focus on actually enjoying your workouts. Do exercises you enjoy performing and make your sessions as enjoyable as possible. Fun is a great motivator to work out, and making your workouts fun can help greatly assist in getting you to work out consistently. Lastly, having a strong commitment to why you are training, as simple as it sounds, can be good for continuous training. Consistency and progressive overload have easily been the biggest factors in my own muscle growth recently, and I noticed that recently, once I fixed these things, I immediately experienced better muscle growth. The last fundamental of training that I would like to go over is recovery. Recovery refers to the things you do outside of training to build muscle. This encompasses your nutrition, your sleep, and your water consumption, as well as active recovery methods, such as ice baths to decrease muscle soreness, for example. Firstly, and very importantly, is your nutrition. In my opinion, nutrition second to sleep and training is the most important factor to building muscle there is. Nutrition is important in building muscle in two key ways. 1. Protein, and 2. Calories. In order for your body to build muscle, you need to be consuming protein. It is recommended that someone aiming to build muscle should be consuming roughly 1.5 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight, or 0.8 g per pound. Protein is constructed from amino acids, which are recruited in building muscle mass on your body. Protein is additionally excellent for other health-related goals, as I talked about in my previous video. The other key aspect of nutrition that influences your muscle growth are calories. As I talked about in my previous video, your body utilizes calories to turn into either fat or muscle. We are specifically focused on that muscle part in this video. Assuming you would like to maximize muscle gain and minimize fat gain, you can follow some simple rules around your calorie consumption. Find your necessary caloric intake per day for maintenance of current body fat. I explain how this works in my previous video, and then add 200 calories onto that, putting you in a small surplus. A surplus means that your body will not only find it easier to pack on muscle, but it will also guarantee that your body does not resort to consuming your muscle mass for energy, which negates muscle loss. Nutrition is also less directly responsible for your energy when working out, among other things which have a large effect on your training and performance, but are less easily planned, like protein and calories. Other than nutrition, there are two other main factors that influence your ability to build muscle outside of training. These factors are water consumption and sleep. The amount of water you consume is massively important to almost every single aspect of your life, and training is no exception. Maximizing your performance in the gym is key to maximizing muscle growth, and being adequately hydrated is super important to your performance, as well as being important for muscle growth. Muscle is 75% water, and remembering this will motivate you to drink enough water. Drink at least 3 liters of water a day for proper hydration. The most important aspect of recovery, and one of the most important factors generally for muscle growth, is getting enough sleep each night. It is recommended generally that you get at least 8 hours of sleep every night, and if you can get this or more, that's great. But the reality of work and life means that sometimes this amount of sleep is unachievable. Do your best to aim for 8 hours, and you will greatly improve your body's ability to build muscle. This is generally an aspect of training that goes under-addressed, especially among caffeine-addicted teenagers. How down pre-workout every morning and night and get 4 hours of sleep. These are the same guys who will train 6 days a week and see no results because they don't have the fundamentals of recovery established and end up struggling to see any major results. I've met a few guys who do this in my life. Don't be like them. If you are like me when I was first starting to go to the gym, you might find that you are overwhelmingly anxious to go into a gym. This could be up to a number of reasons, but that is for you to know. I have some suggestions for how to deal with anxiety and actually start training. First, if you feel as though you are not competent enough at exercise to go to the gym, I would suggest you start at home with some calisthenics in order to build some fundamentals before you head into a gym. This may help you build confidence before going into the gym and will also start you off with a good foundation in building muscle and mobility for free. Further from this, it is important to understand that the gym is largely a welcoming place for newcomers, regardless of where they start. And contrary to popular perception, the gym community is incredibly welcoming and accepting of people at all different fitness levels and abilities for the most part. You should not assume that everyone is looking at you when you work out in a public gym. Most people are way too focused on their own workouts to be worried about what you are doing. You might find that someone sees you working out with poor form and decides to correct your form, but you should take this advice on and fix your form and not feel offended by the correction. This leads me into another very important aspect of training, and that is form and injury prevention. Preventing injury and training with good form are very important to consistently training and also maximizing your workouts. You should only increase the resistance of an exercise once your form on that exercise is at a good level. This is not only to keep you safe from injury, but also to make sure you are hitting the right muscle groups with your exercise. Other ways to reduce your likelihood of injury are to avoid going for maxes regularly and to train while adequately hydrated and energized. Supplements are another very interesting part of building muscle because just like the teenagers who don't follow the basics of recovery, don't be the guy who just started at the gym and takes 100 useless supplements, some creatine, protein powder, and tubs upon tubs of pre-workout. Creatine and protein powder are great, but I would recommend that you get the basics down first before you start using supplements. As far as supplements that are worth taking go, I am a bit of a minimalist. I would recommend no more than some creatine, protein powder, and some form of pre-workout. Realistically, you could just use something like caffeine pills as pre-workout, and functionally there won't be a huge difference. Protein powder can be really helpful as a cheap way to get some more protein into your diet, but should not be taken excessively. As far as creatine goes, I would definitely recommend trying it as it is well-renowned as the most thoroughly researched supplement on the market, and it can certainly provide some pretty strong benefits. That being said, I would only recommend you start taking it after you have been training for a reasonable amount of time. This way you can see if it improves your strength, and that way you can see if it works for you. That's it for this video. If you have any questions or feedback about any aspects of the video, from the information to the editing, please post your concerns in the comments, and I will make sure to try and implement your suggestions into my content. Other than that, I hope this video helped you and I wish you luck.